Time is moving whether you are ready or not. June is getting closer every single day, and many people are still living like they have unlimited chances left. They keep delaying important decisions. They keep wasting hours on things that add no value to their future. They keep telling themselves they will become serious later. But later becomes next month, next year, and eventually another wasted season of life. There comes a point where a person has to become honest with themselves, honest about their habits, honest about their distractions, honest about how much time they are losing every single day. Most people are not failing because they are incapable. They are failing because their focus is broken. A distracted person will never build a powerful life. The world today is full of things designed to steal attention. Endless scrolling, constant noise, pointless arguments, fake entertainment that keeps people mentally weak for hours. Many people wake up with goals in their mind, but spend the entire day feeding distractions instead of feeding discipline. And after a while, they wonder why they feel empty inside. Nothing destroys confidence faster than watching yourself waste your own potential repeatedly. There are people listening right now who know exactly what they should be doing. They know they should be exercising. They know they should be learning new skills. They know they should be fixing their finances. They know they should be protecting their peace. But instead, they spend their energy on temporary comfort that gives them nothing in return. That pattern slowly destroys ambition. Every time you ignore your responsibilities, your self-respect decreases a little more. Every time you waste another evening doing things that do not improve your future, your confidence weakens quietly. A person begins feeling frustrated because deep down, they know they are capable of more. It becomes heavy over time. You can feel it at night when the room becomes quiet and reality finally hits. You can feel it when another month passes and nothing changes. You can feel it when you see other people improving while you remain stuck in the same routine. And the painful part is this: most people do not need more talent. They need better focus. Focus is what separates average lives from meaningful lives. A focused person moves differently. They protect their energy carefully. They understand that every hour matters. They become intentional about what enters their mind. They stop allowing every distraction to control their attention. Attention is powerful. Whatever controls your attention eventually controls your direction. If your attention constantly goes toward negativity, gossip, drama, and useless entertainment, your life slowly becomes filled with confusion and frustration. But when your attention goes toward growth, discipline, learning, and purpose, your future begins changing. Everything begins with focus. There are people who say they want success, but their habits say something completely different. They spend more time watching other people live than building their own life. They know every detail about celebrities, but know very little about their own goals. They spend hours escaping reality instead of improving reality. That kind of lifestyle creates regret. One day, people wake up and realize years disappeared while they were distracted. Time is expensive, more expensive than money. Money lost can sometimes return. Time lost never returns. That is why serious people become protective of their days. They stop wasting hours proving themselves to people who do not matter. They stop chasing approval from strangers. They stop feeding addictions that keep them mentally weak. Because eventually, mature people, your future is built by what you repeatedly give your attention to. If you continue giving your attention to things that drain your mind, your future suffers. If you give your attention to growth, discipline, and purpose, your life improves slowly over time. The scary part about distractions is that many of them feel harmless in the moment. 1 hour wasted does not feel dangerous. One lazy day does not seem serious. One night of avoiding responsibilities feels small, but repeated daily, those habits quietly shape an entire life. And many people do not notice the damage until years have already passed. A distracted mind struggles to create a meaningful future because it cannot stay committed long enough to anything important. Success requires sustained focus. That means learning how to stay disciplined even when distractions are available everywhere. That means saying no to things that waste energy. That means understanding that temporary pleasure often creates long-term frustration. There is a difference between relaxation and escape. Rest is healthy. Constant avoidance is destructive. Some people are not relaxing. They are running away from responsibility. Every day they distract themselves because deep down they are uncomfortable with their current life. Instead of fixing the problem, they escape into entertainment, scrolling, gossip, and meaningless habits. But avoiding reality never improves reality. At some point, a person must face themselves honestly. Ask yourself, what is stealing my focus? What habits are damaging my future? What distractions are keeping me average? What am I giving too much attention to? Those questions matter because most people stay trapped because they never pause long enough to examine how they are spending their life. They move through every day automatically. Wake up, scroll, complain, waste time, sleep, repeat. That cycle slowly destroys purpose. Life requires intentional living. The people who improve their life before June will not necessarily be the smartest people. They will be the people willing to become more disciplined with their attention. Discipline is difficult at first because distraction feels easier, but easy habits often create hard lives later. Hard discipline creates easier lives later. A focused person understands sacrifice. Sometimes growth requires turning off distractions and sitting alone with your goals. Sometimes growth requires less entertainment and more self-reflection. Sometimes growth requires uncomfortable honesty about how much time has already been wasted. And that honesty can change a life. Because once a person becomes aware of how valuable time truly is, they stop living carelessly. They stop spending hours around people who drain their energy. They stop arguing. They stop feeding habits that weaken their future. They stop saying tomorrow for things that need attention today. That shift creates momentum. Momentum changes confidence. When you begin using your days with purpose, your self-respect grows naturally. You start feeling proud of yourself again because your actions finally align with your potential. A person who controls their focus gains control over their future. This is why successful people often seem different. Their environment may look similar to everyone else, but their priorities are completely different. They guard their mind carefully. They understand that every distraction has a cost, even emotional distraction. Some people waste years holding on to anger, bitterness, jealousy, and resentment. Their mind stays trapped in emotional stress while life keeps moving forward. Mental clutter destroys focus too. Peace becomes important when building a better life. You cannot think clearly if your mind is constantly filled with negativity. That is why mature people learn how to release unnecessary emotional weight. Not because life was fair, not because people always treated them correctly, but because protecting their future became more important than feeding old pain. It requires emotional discipline too. The strongest people are not always the most talented. Many times they are simply the least distracted. They know what matters. They know what deserves energy. They know where they are trying to go. And because of that clarity, their life begins moving differently. Imagine how different your future could look if you became fully focused for the next few months. Imagine what could happen if you stopped wasting energy on habits that weaken your mind. Imagine the confidence you would build if your daily actions finally matched your goals. Everything changes when focus retracts. Your habits improve, your mindset sharpens, your discipline grows, your self-respect increases, your future becomes clearer, and it all begins with one decision. Stop giving your life away to distractions that are destroying your focus, because June is coming whether you change or not. And the people who take control of their attention before then will enter the next season of life stronger, clearer, calmer, and far more prepared for the future they truly want. Every day, your habits are shaping the person you are becoming. Not once a month, not once a year. Every single day. The small choices you repeat quietly become your future. That is why some people keep promising themselves change but never actually experience it. They focus too much on motivation and not enough on daily behavior. A better life is not created by big speeches. It is created by small, repeated actions. Many people enter a new month with excitement. They write goals down. They feel inspired for a few days. They imagine a different future for themselves, but after a short time, old habits return again. Late nights, wasted mornings, endless distractions, lack of discipline, inconsistency. Slowly, the same patterns take control again. That cycle keeps people because deep down they know they are capable of more, but their habits continue pulling them backward. Habits are powerful because they operate automatically after enough repetition. A person no longer thinks deeply about them. They simply repeat them every day without questioning where those behaviors are leading. Some habits build confidence. Some habits slowly destroy it. Waking up early with purpose strengthens the mind. Constant procrastination weakens. Keeping promises to yourself builds self-respect. Ignoring responsibilities dim. Reading, learning, exercising, improving your thinking, protecting your peace. These habits slowly create a stronger person over time. But many people spend years feeding habits that leave them feeling mentally tired, emotionally frustrated, and spiritually empty. That is why change becomes urgent before another month passes. Time moves fast when habits stay the same. Somebody listening right now probably said at the beginning of the year, this year will be different. But now months have passed and many of the same struggles are still there. The same excuses, the same distractions, the same delays. That realization hurts because nobody wants to feel stuck inside their own potential. But the truth is simple. Your future changes when your daily routine changes. Nothing improves permanently until habits. This is where many people misunderstand growth. They think changing their life requires one massive action. In reality, lasting transformation usually comes from small, disciplined decisions repeated long enough. A person who reads 10 pages every day changes their thinking over time. A person who exercises consistently changes their body over time. A person who saves money regularly changes their finances over time. A person who controls their emotions daily changes their relationships over time. Everything compounds. Good habits compound. Bad habits compound too. That is why ignoring small negative behaviors becomes dangerous. Many people think it's only one wasted day. It's only one bad decision. It's only 1 hour, but repeated enough times, small behaviors become identity. A lazy habit repeated long enough creates a lazy life. A disciplined habit repeated long enough creates a disciplined life. And eventually, people begin experiencing the consequences of what they repeatedly practiced. There are people today who feel frustrated with their results while refusing to examine their routine honestly. They want confidence without discipline. They want success without consistency. They want growth without sacrifice. But life rewards repeated effort. The strongest people are not always naturally gifted people. Often they are people who mastered their daily habits while others stayed distracted. Think about how different life feels when your habits are healthy. You wake up feeling clearer mentally. Your energy feels stronger. Your confidence improves because you are finally doing things that move your life forward instead of backward. That feeling matters. Self-respect grows when your actions match your goals. Many people do not realize how deeply habits affect emotional health. A person who constantly procrastinates often feels stress all the time because responsibilities continue piling up. A person who wastes hours every day eventually feels guilt because they know time is disappearing. A person who avoids difficult tasks begins feeling mentally weaker because avoidance slowly damages confidence. The mind always knows when you are neglecting your potential. That is why disciplined habits create peace internally. A person who handles responsibilities consistently sleeps differently at night. Their mind feels calmer because they are no longer constantly running from what needs attention. Discipline reduces chaos, and chaos destroys focus. This world is already filled with distractions everywhere. Phones constantly pulling attention, noise everywhere, endless entertainment, negative conversations, pressure from social media. Without strong habits, a person becomes mentally scattered very quickly. Strong habits create structure. Structure protects progress. A person with structure, they become intentional with their mornings, intentional with their time, intentional with their priorities. They stop allowing every emotion to control their behavior because emotions change daily. Habits create stability. Some mornings you will feel motivated. Other mornings you will feel tired. Some days confidence will feel strong. Other days pressure will feel heavy. But disciplined habits allow you to continue moving forward even when emotions fluctuate. That is real maturity. Many people stay trapped because they only take action when they feel inspired. The problem with that mindset is simple. Feelings are unreliable. If your future depends entirely on emotion, consistency becomes impossible. Successful people, they build routines that support growth even during difficult seasons. They continue learning when nobody is watching. They continue improving even when progress feels slow. They continue doing small disciplined actions because they understand something powerful. Small progress repeated consistently becomes massive change over time. There is also something important people forget about habits. Your environment influence. If you surround yourself with distractions constantly, disciplined habits become harder. If everybody around you wastes time carelessly, laziness begins feeling normal. If negativity fills your environment every day, your mindset slowly weakens too. Protect what enters your mind. Protect your mornings. Protect your energy. Protect your focus. A person who becomes serious about growth eventually becomes selective about what influences them because they understand that habits are not created accidentally. Habits are shaped by repeated exposure and repeated decisions. And sometimes growth sometimes you need distance. Sometimes you need less energy. Boundaries. Sometimes you need to stop feeding habits that comfort you temporarily but damage you long term. That process is uncomfortable at first because the brain naturally prefers familiar routines. Even destructive habits can feel comfortable simply because they are familiar. But comfort is not always healthy. Growth often feels uncomfortable before it becomes rewarding. The beautiful thing about habits is this: you do not need to change your entire life overnight. You simply need to start controlling your days better. Wake up earlier. Use your mornings with purpose. Read more. Move your body. Reduce distractions. Keep promises to yourself. Finish what you start. Spend less time complaining. Spend more time improving. Small actions repeated daily create identity shifts slowly. And eventually you stop feeling like somebody trying to change. Yet you begin becoming somebody who actually changed. That transformation builds deep confidence because now your life is no longer controlled by random emotions or destructive routines. You become reliable to yourself. That matters more than people realize. A person who trusts themselves becomes mentally stronger. They stop doubting every decision. They stop making endless excuses. They stop abandoning goals every time life becomes difficult because disciplined habits create emotional endurance. Life will always test people. There will always be pressure, stress, disappointment, distractions, and difficult seasons. But strong habits help people survive hard moments without completely losing direction. Without structure, people collapse easily during stressful times. With structure, people recover fast. That is why fixing your habits before another month passes is so important. Another month of weak discipline becomes another month of regret. Another month of distractions becomes another month of lost potential. Another month of delay becomes another month further away from the person you wanted to become this year. At some point, a decision must be made. Either continue repeating routines that keep life average, or become disciplined enough to create real change. Nobody else can make that choice for you, but the people who become serious about their habits before June will feel different by the end of the year. Their confidence will improve, their mind will feel sharper, their direction will become clearer. Their future will slowly begin opening in ways they once only imagined, because daily habits always reveal where a life is heading. There are people carrying pain from years ago and still allowing it to control their life today. Every disappointment, every rejection, every mistake, every betrayal still lives inside their mind like it happened yesterday. Outwardly, they continue living, but emotionally, they remain connected to old chapters that should have ended long ago. That kind of emotional weight becomes exhausting. A person cannot move powerfully toward the future while constantly dragging the past behind them. Eventually, something inside begins feeling tired all the time. Motivation disappears faster, confidence weakens, hope becomes harder to hold on to. Not because the future has no possibilities, but because the mind keeps replaying what already happened. Many people are physically present in today while mentally trapped in yesterday, and that destroys growth quietly. The truth is, life hurts everybody at some point. Some people trusted the wrong person. Some gave years to relationships that broke them emotionally. Some failed publicly and felt embarrassed. Some were abandoned when they needed support the most. Some worked hard and still lost opportunities. Pain is part of life, but carrying pain forever is not strength. There comes a moment where healing becomes necessary if you want peace again. The problem is many people confuse holding on to pain with protecting themselves. They think staying angry keeps them safe. They think replaying old memories gives them control. But in reality, bitterness only drains energy from the person carrying it. Meanwhile, life keeps moving forward. Months pass, years pass, opportunities pass, and some people remain emotionally stuck because they never made peace with what already happened. Making peace with the past does not mean pretending nothing hurt you. It does not mean accepting bad behavior from people. It does not mean forgetting difficult experiences completely. It simply means refusing to let old pain continue controlling your future. That decision changes everything, because once a person finally releases emotional weight, their mind becomes clearer, their energy changes, their focus improves, their heart becomes lighter. They stop wasting so much mental space replaying situations they cannot change anymore. And suddenly the future feels possible again. There are people who spend years punishing themselves for mistakes they already learned from. They keep reliving old failures in their head. Every time they try to move forward, guilt pulls them backward again. But nobody grows by staying trapped in shame forever. A mistake should teach you. It should not define you forever. Somebody listening right now still feels embarrassed about something that happened years ago. Maybe they trusted the wrong people. Maybe they made poor decisions. Maybe they wasted time. Maybe they lost money. Maybe they failed publicly. But one bad chapter does not erase your value. Life is bigger than one season. Strong people understand this deeply. They learn from painful experiences, but they do not build permanent identity around temporary failures. They refuse to spend the rest of their life introducing themselves to the world through old pain. Growth requires emotional maturity. That means learning how to accept reality honestly instead of fighting what already happened. Some situations cannot be changed no matter how long you think about them. Some people will never apologize properly. Some opportunities will never return. Some relationships were never meant to last. And painful as that may feel, acceptance creates peace. Without acceptance, the mind keeps fighting battles that are already over. Many people lose years emotionally arguing with reality internally. They keep asking, why did this happen to me? Why did they treat me that way? Why did life become so unfair? Those questions create emotional exhaustion when they are repeated endlessly without healing. At some point, peace becomes more valuable than replaying pain, and peace allows a person to think about the future again. That is important because many people stop dreaming after disappointment entered their life. Their excitement disappeared. Their ambition became smaller. They became emotionally careful with everything because pain taught them to expect loss. But life cannot improve if fear controls every decision. The future belongs to people who still believe growth is possible after difficult seasons. That takes courage. It takes courage to trust again after betrayal. It takes courage to start again after failure. It takes courage to believe in yourself after disappointment. It takes courage to open your heart to life again after pain tried to harden you. But healing people move differently. They stop carrying anger everywhere. They stop allowing old memories to destroy new opportunities. They stop expecting every future situation to become another painful experience. Instead, they begin rebuilding. Healing is not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks quiet. It looks like somebody waking up and deciding to focus on growth instead of bitterness. It looks like somebody choosing discipline instead of self-destruction. It looks like somebody finally accepting that their past cannot be changed, but their future still can. That shift is powerful. Because once the mind stops living in old pain constantly, new possibilities become visible again. A person begins imagining goals again. They begin thinking about who they still want to become. They begin caring about their future with fresh energy. And that mindset creates. One reason many people stay emotionally stuck is because they keep surrounding themselves with reminders of who they used to be. Same environments, same conversations, same negative thinking, same emotional habits. Healing sometimes requires changing your environment too. Protect your peace carefully. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every memory deserves constant attention. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Strong people become selective with what they feed emotionally because they understand that healing requires mental discipline. The future also requires responsibility. Some people stay trapped, blaming everybody else forever. Yes, life can be unfair. Yes, people can hurt you deeply, but eventually responsibility becomes necessary if growth is the goal. A person who constantly blames the past loses control over the future. Responsibility creates power because it reminds you that your next chapter still belongs to you. You still control your habits, you still control your mindset, you still control your effort, you still control your response to life moving forward. That realization rebuilds confidence, and confidence matters deeply after difficult seasons. Pain often damages identity. It makes people question themselves. It weakens trust internally. Some people begin believing they are permanently broken because life became hard for a period of time. But difficult seasons you are not only your worst moments. You are not only your mistakes. You are not only your heartbreak. You are not only your failures. There is still more life ahead. There are still goals waiting. There are still opportunities waiting. There is still growth waiting. But none of it becomes visible while the mind stays trapped in old emotional wounds. That is why peace matters before June arrives. Another month carrying unnecessary emotional weight becomes another month delaying your growth. Another month replaying old pain becomes another month disconnected from your potential. Life moves fast. The future is being shaped right now by the thoughts you repeat daily. If your mind constantly looks backward, your life eventually loses direction forward. That is why mature people eventually make a decision. They stop building their identity. Instead, they begin building their future around purpose. And purpose creates energy again. Suddenly, mornings feel different. Goals feel meaningful again. Discipline becomes easier. Hope returns slowly. It became perfect overnight because the mind finally became free enough to move forward again. There is somebody listening right now who needs to stop punishing themselves for an old version of who they were. That version already suffered enough. Learn from it, grow from it, but do not stay trapped there forever. Your future deserves more attention than your past. The rest of this year can still become meaningful. You can still rebuild. You can still become stronger. You can still create a life that feels peaceful, disciplined, and purposeful. But first, you must stop allowing old pain to control new possibilities. That is where healing begins. And that is where a stronger future finally becomes possible. Life has a way of testing people when they least expect it. One phone call can change your emotions completely. One difficult season can shake your confidence. One unexpected problem can expose how strong or weak your mindset really is. That is why building a stronger mind matters before life becomes difficult again. Because difficult moments, no person escapes pressure forever. No person avoids disappointment forever. Challenges are part of being alive. But the difference between people is not whether problems appear. The difference is how prepared they are mentally when those problems arrive. Some people break down quickly under pressure because they never train their mind to stay strong. The smallest setback ruins their focus. A little criticism destroys their confidence. Delays make them panic. Stress controls their emotions completely. Their mindset becomes unstable because they built their life only around comfort. But comfort does not prepare people for reality. A strong mind is built through discipline, patience, emotional control, and repeated growth during uncomfortable situations. Many people spend years strengthening everything except their mindset. They focus on appearance, money, status, or attention, but mentally they remain fragile. The moment life becomes difficult, they lose direction completely because internally they never built emotional endurance. Mental strength matters more than most people realize. Your mindset affects how you handle stress. It affects how you respond to failure. It affects your relationships. It affects your decisions. It affects whether you continue growing or quit too early. Changes when the mind becomes stronger. A mentally strong person still feels pressure. They still experience sadness, fear, disappointment, and uncertainty. But they do not allow emotions to completely control their behavior. They learn how to remain steady even during difficult seasons. That ability becomes powerful in life because many people are controlled by emotions every single day. If they feel motivated, they work. If they feel discouraged, they stop. If they feel stressed, they avoid responsibility. If life becomes uncomfortable, they immediately retreat into distractions. Creates weak discipline. A strong mind, feelings change constantly, but responsibilities remain. There will be days where you feel tired, days where confidence feels low, days where life feels unfair, days where motivation disappears. But mentally strong people continue moving forward anyway. That is what separates people who improve their life from people who stay trapped in cycles for years. Mental strength is not something people are simply born with. It is developed through repeated experience and intentional habits. Every difficult season you survive can either strengthen you or weaken you depending on how you respond to it. Some people use pain as an excuse to give up. Others use pain as a reason to grow stronger. That choice matters deeply. There are people listening right now who already survived situations they once thought would destroy them. They survived heartbreak, financial pressure, failure, loneliness, rejection, stress, emotional exhaustion. They survived moments where they felt completely overwhelmed. And yet they are still here. That alone proves something important. Human beings are stronger than they often realize. But survival alone is not enough. Growth must happen too. A person cannot keep repeating the same emotional patterns forever and expect life to improve. At some point, maturity becomes necessary. Emotional discipline becomes necessary. Self-control becomes necessary. Because life rewards stable minds. A stable mind thinks clearly during pressure. A stable mind does not panic easily. A stable mind stays focused even when emotions become intense. That kind of mindset creates peace internally. Many people today feel mentally exhausted because their mind never rests. Constant overthinking, constant comparison, constant negativity, constant fear about the future. Their brain is overloaded every day. That exhaustion slowly affects every part of life. A tired mind struggles to stay disciplined. A tired mind struggles to focus. A tired mind struggles to believe in possibilities. That is why protecting mental health matters before another stressful season arrives. Strong people become intentional about what they feed their mind daily. They stop allowing negativity unlimited access to their attention. They stop spending hours around drama and pointless conflict. They stop feeding anxiety through endless distractions and unhealthy habits. Instead, they create routines that strengthen their thinking. Reading strengthens the mind. Quiet reflection strengthens the mind. Now, discipline strengthens the mind. Exercise strengthens the mind. Purpose strengthens the mind. Everything you repeatedly expose yourself to affects your mindset over time. If you constantly feed your brain fear, confusion grows. If you constantly feed your brain discipline and growth, confidence grows. That is why environment matters so much. Some people stay mentally weak because they spend all day surrounded by negativity. Every conversation becomes complaining, gossip, excuses, and stress. Eventually, that emotional energy becomes normal to them. But strong minds require not perfect environments, places where growth is encouraged, places where discipline matters, places where peace exists. Protecting your environment. Mental strength also requires learning how to control reactions. Many people react emotionally to everything. One bad comment ruins their mood for hours. One small problem destroys their focus for the entire day. One mistake causes them to mentally collapse. That kind of emotional instability creates suffering. A strong mind pauses before reacting. It thinks clearly before speaking. It remains calm during pressure. It focuses on instead of panic, and that emotional control becomes valuable in every area of life, in relationships, in business, in leadership, in personal growth. The strongest people are often the calmest people during difficult moments, not because life is easy for them, because they train themselves not to panic every time challenges appear. Training the mind requires you build mental strength every time you continue through discomfort instead of escaping it. You build mental strength every time you stay disciplined despite emotions. You build mental strength every time you face difficult conversations instead of avoiding them. You build mental strength every time you refuse to quit on yourself. Those only shape identity. And eventually, pressure stops feeling as overwhelming as it once did. One reason many people remain mentally weak is because they avoid all discomfort. They want life to feel easy all the time. But avoiding discomfort weakens resilience. Growth requires discomfort. Discipline feels uncomfortable. Responsibility feels uncomfortable. Change feels uncomfortable. Honest self-reflection feels uncomfortable. But avoiding those things creates bigger problems later. A person who avoids difficult tasks creates stress. A person who avoids emotional healing creates pain. A person who avoids discipline, temporary comfort often creates long. Meanwhile, discipline discomfort. That is why mentally strong people stop chasing comfort constantly. They understand that comfort alone never creates greatness. Greatness is built through repeated self